Hi everyone, this is Jay Johnson with the Daily Texture from dailytexture.com. Today I'm going to introduce you to a new collection called the Dyed Marble Collection, which is a collection of 24 textures in different color schemes that have a marbly look to them. And I've also provided 10 overlays for this collection, and I'm going to just show you a little quick example of something I've done with one sample image and why I decided to do the overlays. I'm going to talk a little bit about that because I have a specific motive in mind for what I'm going to do with these. Let me turn this off, or just move it down to the bottom out of the way so we can see what I've done, if I can get it to move, and apparently I can't, so we'll just go like this. And all of my things are getting out of order, and I have no idea why, so just bear with me a second here. Okay, this is one of the images I've done with this collection. I chose the dark gray texture to blend with this snow leopard. Now, what I'm doing with these in particular is I'm designing these so they can go on these all over print shirts. At Society 6 they have all over print shirts. They also have them at Cafe Press. I think Zazzle may have some now as well, although theirs are not all over print. They're just the front panel. I don't particularly like those. But I fell in love with these all over print shirts when the company called The Mountain started making them with all the animal faces on them. I have a huge collection of them. And I've always thought it would be really nice if I had my images on them, if I was able to do that. I kept hoping The Mountain would create a custom ability for us to create our own, but they have not done so. I think their process is a little bit more involved, their printing process, so perhaps the custom wouldn't really work with their company. But with these other companies that I do work with, I wanted to be able to create some of these all over print shirts with my animals on them. I did some with Cafe Press to begin with, and I ordered one, and the very first thing I noticed when it came in is there were white marks in the material, specifically under the arms, and I've heard that these white marks sometimes will appear around the neckline or across the bottom edge of the shirt, and this is because the printing process they use, the shirt is put together before they put the print onto the material. So when they flatten out the shirt and then they use their equipment to press the print into the shirt, into the material, sometimes the material moves or scrunches up a little bit in certain spots. So those sections that do that don't take the ink when they're using their printing process. And that's why these little white marks occur. And I had told Cafe Press I wasn't happy with the shirt because of the white marks under the arms. I didn't realize that this was just due to the way they're printing it and that they pretty much occur everywhere. They ended up sending me a replacement, which was a little, quite a bit better. Didn't have as many white marks in it, but it still had white marks, and it bothered me, and I've been for years trying to figure out how to best design for these shirts, because I really want to sell these shirts through these companies, but I also don't want to deal with a lot of returns, because I know people don't understand the white marks and why they're there, and I want to find a way around that or find a way to avoid it. When I designed this texture collection, it was designed for products specifically. Sure, they do look great as prints, if you like this kind of look as a print, but they work wonderful for your things like the shower curtains, the pillows, the tote bags, all those things I really, really like for home decor that aren't prints, that don't hang on the wall. They work good for tiles, like tile coasters and things like that. They really look nice on all of the products except for those shirts. And so when I designed this collection, one of my challenges was to come up with a way to also be able to use these textures and my images and make them work for the shirts. And that is why I designed the overlays. The overlays are black and white. You put one on top of your image as a new, put it up on top as a different layer. You change the layer mode to screen mode. And when you do that, it takes away the black and it will just leave the white. You can also play with other layer modes, change the color tones of that black and white image to add texture to your image that you want to add just for something different. And I'll show you an example of a different way I've used those after a while. But right now, this is the image I've done so far. The reason why the leopard is so small in the middle of this at the moment is because right now I'm working on the shirt design. I'm going to show you here. This right here is an image that I have done on a shirt already at Society6, and it ended up turning out pretty good. It's the animal's face is right dead center in the middle of the shirt. It's a let me shut this off. It's also a snow leopard. And what I did is created basically a little template for myself. I looked at the shirt, looked at my image. I drew a white box and put it as a new layer on top just to fade it out a little bit so I could see through, and kind of made some notes here as to what parts of the image were appearing where. And this way I can open this image anytime I make a shirt, and I can make sure that my animal goes right in here. The main, whatever I want to show on the front of that shirt needs to be in this box, preferably even smaller than this box in the center. The eyes on this leopard here are right at the top of the shirt, close to the neck. This nose part appeared in the middle, and this appeared closer down toward the waistline, although there was some more shirt here. It wasn't like the bottom of the shirt, it was just like the waistline, but there is more shirt on the actual shirt that appears right there. So I used this right here that I made as a little template. So when I made the snow leopard, I'm trying to find the right image here. I guess this is it. Right here, after I made him, I opened up this template and faded it down to show if my new snow leopard was in the middle, which he is in the middle. Actually, he was a little bigger than this. The nose was closer up here and the mouth was further over here, so I actually made him smaller. And I just simply masked away all of the edges of the original picture. This is the original picture here. And I masked away all those edges. But he's pretty small because he needs to fit in this box in my little template to appear in the proper position on the shirt. Then, let's see. Let me get my ducks in a row here. My layers aren't wanting to go where they're supposed to go. I'm going to move this out of the way, my little template, because I've already went over that. There's my two layers. There's this. There's the original picture. Put that down here. Here's the masked. Okay, I've started with the texture. I masked away from that original photo and then resized him down to fit in that little box in my template. Now here's where my overlays come in handy. I pulled one out, put it on top, set it to screen mode at 100%. It has all these nice little white marks. There were several over his face, so I masked those away. You can see my little mask right here. Everywhere that's black is what I masked away. Certain parts of it. Everywhere that's white is where I left the little white marks. And then I pulled out another overlay on top of that, and I basically did the same thing. I set this one to screen mode at 50% and masked away here you could see the mask, the parts I didn't want over his face and things. Now the reason why, and I could brighten this up if I wanted, like this. I wanted it about 50% though, because I didn't want the white to overpower it. But here's why I'm doing this with these overlays. And this is just for the shirt image. This is not for the pillows and the shower curtains and the tote bags. It's simply for the shirt. The reason why I want to add the white overlays in with the shirt is because when they produce these shirts, there are these random little white marks that appear when they press the image into the material when they're making the shirt. And if you have an image that looks like this, and then say this is where the arm is, and up under here, there'll be this little white line in the final shirt. It's not here in the image, but it's in the final shirt. And it looks very out of place if you have like one little white line here, or one couple little white lines over here. So by adding the overlays that have the white marks for the shirt image only, if those little random white marks appear in production, they won't look as out of place. They will look like they're part of the original shirt design that the person sees when they order the shirt, when they see it on the screen. And I'll pull up the actual shirt image here and show you, because I've already made this one into a shirt. And of course, it's very, very small, so I'm going to have to resize it so you can see it. And it's probably going to look a little pixelated because I'm bringing this up so big. That's as big as I can go. But as you can see, the shirt has the little white marks all around, and from my pattern here that I've done with these overlays. So therefore, if a little random white mark appears here under these arms, or maybe even around the neckline or across the bottom of the shirt when they press the design into the material, those little random white marks that come from production won't look as out of place. They'll actually look like it's supposed to be that way because I've added these little white texture marks, overlay marks, into this design to begin with. So it looks like they're supposed to be there. It won't look as out of place. And hopefully I won't have as many returns. I don't have a whole lot of returns, but just by adding white into these shirt images in some way, you can probably avoid the potential that a customer will say, oh, this shirt wasn't made right, there's something wrong with it because there's this random white mark in the middle of this dark background. But by having the white marks through the background, it looks like it could be a part of the design, and that's just where that white mark appeared. And it won't be as obvious as a defect. It's just a defect that comes along with these shirts based on how they make them. But I really like the shirts. I love to wear them for night shirts, and I'll wear them out in public. I have all kinds. I have ones I've made. I have ones that I've bought from the other company that makes them. I just love them. They just make a big statement, and they're a lot of fun to wear. So I wanted to create these overlays with this collection. So if other of you, some of you that are making shirts like this for Society6 and Cafe Press, and even Zazzle, because their production method is pretty much the same way, where there could be these defects, and because they print everything goes on a plain white shirt to begin with before they print it, if there's any defect, it's going to show up as white. So I thought if some of you are making shirts for these type of designs or companies, then you might find this useful too. But I'm going to show you some other things you can do with these overlays that aren't just white, just to give your design a little bit more interest. All right, we're going to get rid of the shirt. And I've already saved this, obviously. So my shirt design is done. I don't really need these overlays anymore. So I'm going to remove them now and just take them off. Now I'm left with this, which is a snow leopard that is too small. When you go to put this on a shower curtain or as a print, you have all of this texture and then this little bitty snow leopard, which is strictly for the shirt. The snow leopard needs to be bigger. So what I'm going to do is resize his layer back up where he should be for a shower curtain, a tote bag, pillows, things like that. I'm going to move him around a little bit just to kind of center him, because I've learned that if you center things for these products, it works very well. So now that's much better for a shower curtain or a pillow or even a print, because it fills more of the space. But since I've already done the masking on the image once, I don't have to do it again. I already have the masking done the way I want. So now I'm ready to save this as the main image that will be on prints and other things, other products. So we've got Snow Leopard shirt. Now we're going to have Snow Leopard original here. And always save as maximum. That takes just a minute because it's a large file. Now just to make sure that I don't have any random spots I don't need showing up in the finished merged image. I'm going to merge it right here and just look at it, and it looks good. Okay. Now I'm going to show you another one that I did a while ago. This is a lion I did with the dark brown texture. This one's already complete. Then I added, I made one for the shirt design with the white marks, which I'll pull up. See the white marks? So that way, if the shirt has any random white marks that appear, it'll look like it's part of it. This face of this lion is actually a little bit too big, bigger than I'd like. I should have made him a little bit smaller. I didn't realize it until after I uploaded that, I mean, I used my template, but I just stretched it out more to the smaller edges of the template. Here, it was more filling this, and it really needs to be smaller than this and more in the center of this to appear right on the shirt, because there's a lot of wasted space. There's a very large bleed on the shirt designs to accommodate for different size shirts. And so I should have made his face a little bit smaller. Probably should have been about this size for his face, and then the rest would have been filled with texture and the overlays. But I didn't, so he's just going to have to go the way he is right now. But then I started playing with the overlays a little bit more, and I want to show you what I did here. I actually added the splatter overlay on, and I played with different layer modes here. On first thing I did was a topaz restyle on it, which changed it from black and white to this golden brown hues that particular restyle preset had in it. And then I also used the same preset on the lion. If you can see, here's the original lion. You see he's a little bit cooler in color. When I ran the preset on just the layer of the black and white overlay layer, it changed the color tones to these really rich and kind of bright orange and browns, but the lion's face was still really cool, like the face in this one. And I wanted to warm him up, so I also ran that restyle preset on the lion's face layer. And when I made this design with the texture around it, after I did that, I merged it and saved it as a new design. So I actually have two designs with this lion. I have this one, which is a little bit more subtle, a little bit cooler. Then I have this one, which has this fun splattery texture around the edges, which is one of the overlays that is included in the set. So that's just another way you can use them. You don't have to use them as black and white. If you have Topaz software and you have Topaz Restyle, you can actually change the color tones. And in other softwares, you can change the color tones too by selecting the white and giving it a new color. And the blending modes are quite fun. Let me just show you this as an example of how to do this. Let me go to the overlays here. Let's take this overlay. See how that's black and white? And then if you go to screen, to do this for the shirts, like I would do, I would leave some white in there and I would mask a lot of it off his face. In fact, let me just do that right now. While I'm on here talking, just get this off his face like this. And then I'm going to bring some of it back, but at a lower opacity around the edges just a little, just to create some fun. And maybe even put some over his fur. And then all of this doesn't need to be so bright white, so I'll tap on that at a low opacity and remove some of the white, but leave some of the bright white pieces of the texture showing. But now if I was to save this as a design for a shirt, which I would if the lion's face was the right size in using my template here, then if the shirt produced some random white marks in the design, people would think it's part of the design. But since I've already made the lion shirt in a different pattern, I don't want to do another one. But I'm going to show you how I did this splatter technique. I used Topaz Restyle to change the tones. Is what I was talking about a second ago. It should prompt with the last one I used. Nature and Fiery Night was what it was called. See, it's kind of real orangey browns. And then click OK, and let's see what that looks like. Should pop up here in just a second. Now it's still set on screen mode. Let's change it to normal. Now there it is on normal mode. And you can play with these different layer modes. Just scan down through and find something that looks nice. Hard light, just kind of interesting. Vivid. We could even go with a black splotchy look to add a little bit more texture to that. That's on subtract as a layer mode. Never really used that. But let's stick with, I think I used lighten on these. So that's without it, and that's with it after running Restyle and masking some of it off and setting it to lighten. Now if I'm facing the same issue, my lion's face is a little bit cooler. This is nice and warm around here. So that's no problem though, because I can go back to Topaz Restyle on the lion layer. Now that's Fiery Night on the lion right there, but that's too harsh. There's an opacity slider here. So like that's with no adjustment. Now I'm going to boost the opacity up just to warm him up just a little bit. About 27% looks good. So that he will go better with that overlay layer I just created. And as far warm and cool, see how cool? Now he's warm. Now he matches the overlay layer I've created. And I'll go undo it. That's how he was before. See the difference? See how cool he is? Now we've warmed him up. Now he looks more in line with this other one I've already done. Just a different pattern. But that's just another thing you can do with these overlays. And how you can play with them to add additional texture and interest to your image. If you like the soft look like this, then you can just keep that the way you have it. But if you want to do something a little different, in fact, I've listed both in my shop. I have this style design, not the warmer version of him, but with the cooler face. But then I also have the textured one that I had done, this one, also in my shop. So if somebody likes something with a little bit more pattern and texture, they'll choose this one. If somebody wants something a little softer and subtle and more simple, they'll choose this one. Just gives people a few different options. But that's just a quick introduction to these. I'm going to pull this back up so you can see. Like I said, there's 24. I tried to choose colors that were kind of common that might go with a lot of different subjects. And then, of course, the 10 overlays. And I really think it's a useful collection for a lot of things. Like I said, I designed it more to be able to work with these shirts that I'm trying to make. But there's just a lot of different uses. In fact, Zazzle has a huge amount of products that I would love to put some of these on with a subject like this, even without the overlay on it, because I really just think they'll work well on a lot of the products like coasters and, of course, pillows. But Society 6, I've really been having fun with them, with the shirts and with the blankets lately. I really love their blankets at Society 6 and their pillows. I ordered tons of them for Christmas gifts, and every one of them turned out fantastic. So, but when I work, I design to create a nice piece of art, but I also designed to create a nice piece of art for a product. The art you hang on the wall may not be the same as the best art that might look good on a product or might be more appealing on a product. So I try to design for both. So I have this right here would be kind of fun on some products. This right here might be more what somebody would hang on their wall. So I try to design two different ways, depending on what kind of mood I'm in and how much work I want to put into it. It is a lot of work to do these, and that's why I create the textures for you. That saves me time, and it also saves you guys time, because there's something you don't have to create that's already done for you that will blend nicely with your image. And like I said, I chose some basic colors for this, nothing too wild, nothing too fancy, so it'll go with a wide range of subjects. We've got this one here's 14 karat gold. We've got the baby boy and the baby girl colors there, and then I've got a couple of ocean colors here, blues and the greens, teals. I have a fuchsia pink, I have a rusty color red, a darker red, an olive green, great for plants, anything with plants, flowers, botanicals, a softer tan, a light gray, a dark gray, a black, a dark brown, which is what I used on the line, was the dark brown. So there's just a wide range of colors, and you can also change any of these colors of any of these textures. And there's my bird flock again. I guess y'all are getting used to hearing that. But like if you have Topaz Restyle as I do, you can even change your texture to another color. In fact, let me show you an example of that. Let me open up one of the textures and just show you. Let's take let's take the dark gray I've been working with here with the snow leopard. But let's say I wanted to change up colors on this. You can go to Topaz Restyle. This Topaz Restyle is fabulous. And yes, a lot of times it's way over the top on what it produces on a lot of these designs. But you can go through and scan through different categories and see what it may come up with. But let's say I wanted to change that gray to something, I don't know, something with a more fun, this is kind of interesting, sandy butterflies. Now that might be interesting, but see, you can change the the whole tone of the texture using Topaz Restyle. Sometimes they look right, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just, you can pump up the color just a little. I don't like that one now that I'm looking at it. But you can change to a different category. Let's see here. What do we have? Here's a peach one. Now that's too bright at 100%. That's the gray. And then if you boost this up a little, that kind of gives you a little peachy glow to it. Same texture, just different color tone. If you have a different image that may go with this color tone. Or, like on the lion, you can even change the tone of your image. So you can adjust them all if you use the same Restyle preset. You can adjust them all. But that was the gray, and now it is this other peachy color. Peachy brown color. A little bit of purple in it, it looks like. But it still has the marble look to the texture, though. But it's just something fun you can do if you choose to. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking since I've talked for 30 minutes and I've basically said the same thing during the whole 30 minutes. I hope you enjoy the new collection. I hope you enjoy using the overlays. And if you're designing shirts like I am, these all over shirts, maybe you'll find these helpful in creating some good designs that don't get returned, because any white marks that appear, people think they're part of the design. In the meantime, have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening.